live in Chiang Mai. I'm originally from England, but I'm half Thai. So in England, I worked in banking and I've worked in finance for 15 years. Before that, I was in art college and I've always loved painting, drawing and making things. And then I've always dreamed about building a house. Because I worked in finance, I worked in mortgages and with financial advisors and builders and people who built the houses. So for me, every day I was dreaming about my house. And then I moved to Thailand in 2014. And then soon after I came to Thailand, I found a mud building course in the city I live in Chiang Mai. And I went and it changed my life. So I studied permaculture at night time when I was bored in England whilst I was working in a bank, dreaming about a different life, a way of living closer to nature and living without a fancy job and a fancy car and a fancy house and all of the bills that come with it. Part of permaculture covers a little bit about natural building, and then I saw this and I because I've wanted to build a house for a long time, but until I came to Thailand I didn't really think it was possible for me to build a building with my own hands. A natural builder for me is someone who thinks about the materials and the process for building a house or for building anything actually, and to try to consider where the materials come from and their journey when they reach you. So for example, a natural builder would have a piece of land or be on a project and they would look around and say, what do we have? We have bamboo, we have wood, we have mud, we have rocks. Okay, so what can we build with this? And most of the world, like a third of the world, lives in mud buildings, and they built them themselves. They don't need any technology, they don't need any special tools, they don't even need electricity, they just need water. So to think about the simplest way of building is for me natural building. So permaculture construction is a little bit different from natural building in that natural building people will only use natural materials. So there's like one extreme where people would not use nails or not use screws because it's not natural and it takes a long time to decompose. Permaculture, on the other hand, is a little bit more practical for me. So at my house in Chiang Mai, we have a metal roof because we need to collect rainwater. And you can collect rainwater from different natural materials, but a lot of the time if you use a thatch or something organic, the quality of the water is not so good and you can't use it for drinking. So it's a balance about the connections between things. So permaculture is a bit more focused for me on the function and the connection between things rather than just being very, very strict on like looking at one particular process. So the principles for mud building are very much the same as any other building. It's just you have to take care of the walls a little bit more carefully. So the rainy season in Thailand is about 5 months, and it does rain heavy here. Builders will always say you have to have good boots and a good hat, which means good foundations and a good roof. In case there is a flood, we would normally choose a site and make sure the ground is high enough that it wouldn't be affected, but we always have a backup that 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters underneath is either stone or concrete or brick or something that can stay in water. And then the rest of the wall is mud. They can have rain on them, and you can protect them from the rain because they breathe, so they absorb the water, but when it's dry the water comes out again and it's absolutely fine. A mud building, if it's built well, like any technique, if it's built well it can last a long time and in any climate. I can build with normal materials, I can build with concrete, I can build with metal, but you have to have protective equipment. It's bad for your skin, it's bad for the planet, and it's harder to do. When I build with mud, I can invite all my friends over with their children and everybody's covered in mud and everyone has fun and anyone can do it, and you can't do it wrong. And if you do it wrong, you can just take it off. So for me, it's very accessible, and the more people I can teach and show how amazing mud is, the better. I think the most impactful project was when I learned to build. So I went on a women's only build, which was run by a charity in northern Thailand called International Women for Peace and Justice. And maybe there were 23 or 24 women from all over the world most of us have never built anything. We built a 6 by 6 meter square building from the foundations, from bare earth up to the roof joists. But you realize how much you can do when you work as a group. We built the first house on this center, which is a retreat center for women activists when they need to recover, or when they've worked too hard, when they're ill. And it's such a beautiful place, and the buildings have so much love poured into them, that this is really a special project, a project of love. I think what drives me to build is that I love it. I love making things, whether they're small or big, but I've always been a very practical person. What's more useful than a building? Moving to Thailand and living a simpler life was my dream. So I am living my dream, and I feel very grateful that I'm able to do this. And sometimes I don't really know how I managed to do this. But my dream evolves, and my dream is to build smaller houses, show how mud can be such an amazing material, and beautiful and strong and clean. And I want to show people how lovely it can be to try and influence the material choices that people make. I went to art college, and I could never decide what I wanted to be, so I got a bit overwhelmed and stopped studying. And then I just followed money for a long time, and it wasn't making me happy. So my advice for architect students, or any students, is I guess you apply to do architecture because you love it. And the thing that you love, don't lose sight of it. And studying is amazing, and information is amazing, but also the stuff you learn inside an academic environment is not the same as the stuff you would learn, obviously, on top of a mountain in a jungle. So there's a lot of different ways to build, and there's a million techniques out there, and there's some that are older than any university on the planet. So these have been passed down through generations, and the knowledge that you have, the technical ability and the knowledge that you have, it could be so useful if you combine it with this ancient knowledge. So I think my advice would be to travel and to join projects, and to really be open-minded and see what other things you can learn. Don't stop learning, and always experiment, I think. Yeah, you can come to, I recommend everyone to come to Koh Chang and build some mud with me. Yeah, basically.